everyone. This week on Smoking with Eli, I'm going to be reviewing one of my favorite cigar lines. Fratello makes outstanding cigars, and this particular one, the Arlequin, is no exception. So come along. I'm going to show you something you must try. It's delicious. Come on. So the Fratello line is a very interesting line. This whole company is just kind of cool. They have some street cred. So they were founded back in 2013 by a man named Omar De Frias. Is a former NASA project analyst. What does that even do? And while I don't normally talk about people's finances, it is all over the internet that he had left a $200,000 a year job plus benefits to start developing this cigar. He got very inspired and influenced and developed this. These cigars are made generally by Hoya de Nicaragua, and they also, some are made by La Aurora also, which is in the Dominican Republic. Hoya de Nicaragua, as the name suggests, is in Nicaragua. So it's kind of a cool storyline. This guy just, he's super smart, super brilliant, and decided, what the hell? I'm going to design a cigar I like, and boy did he, and it's outstanding, and a lot of other people are liking it too. A lot of these cigars, I think maybe all of the cigars are rated 90 plus. In the core lineup, you have cigars like the Classico and the Bianco, the Oro, Fuoco, if I'm saying that right. And those start at 91 rated, they're 92 rated, 93 rated. I mean, these are some good cigars, you guys. Then they have the Lunar line, which they have a Connecticut and a Cameroon wrapper with those. I have not had, no, I think I've had one of the Lunars when I was down in Savannah, and it was great. It was great. So far, the Classico is one of my favorites. This Arlequin, right up there. They also have a value line, and then they have a state-represented Texan line. I have not had those two, but I'm going to. They're hard to find, you guys. They're not in every tobacconist, store. They're kind of difficult to find, but when you find them, get one. I highly recommend it. This Arlequin comes in 4 sizes. I'm having the Toro today. And if you're wondering, I am at a lumber plant where they make OSB and Adventech, all the good flooring. So we do a load here, so I'm waiting to pick up. At any rate, I'm having the Toro today, and these cigars are just really good. They have the Arlequin and the Arlequin Connecticut. I've not had the Connecticut. This particular one is 91 rated. The wrapper is Mexican. The binder is Ecuadorian, and the filler is a blend of Peruvian and Nicaraguan. So kind of some interesting flavors. They are listed as having cinnamon, Mediterranean spices, and being smooth and sweet. And I would not argue with that assessment. But we're going to see what other flavors we can pull up, especially since we like to do the roof rub and kind of expand on that retrohale a little bit. So we're going to find out really what comes through with this. I have smoked this one once before, and it immediately went into my top 5. Again, my top 3 has about 8 cigars in it now, I think, and my top 5 probably has 10. I don't know. But it really is, it's at the top of the list. I can't get enough of this brand, and I can't recommend it enough. I really love these guys. Really love them, and I am really wanting to try all their other. That Texan that I was telling you about is a 94 rated. That's through Cigar Aficionado. 94 rated, that's really good. So these cigars are nothing to laugh at. This is not a gimmicky cigar. I would not consider it a boutique cigar. This is full on, outstanding, well built, well constructed, complex, all the good words that you can think of. If you want to look at the wrapper, look how smooth that is. Even the wrapper looks smooth and creamy and just nice. And they always have these bands on them that are at an angle, as you can see. let's cut this puppy up. Okay, on the dry draw, I get more nutmeg than I do cinnamon right now. That might be part of the Mediterranean spice. I don't know if that is technically a Mediterranean spice, but maybe that's part of the profile that they're listing. It's nice and it's a little woody. If I had to be specific, let's go with maple. Really, really delicious. I mean, this is already a good cigar, just off the dry draw. I haven't even lit it yet. And I'm going to wait until I get loaded because you're not supposed to have tobacco here on the property. And once I get out to load, I don't want this just burning, which is going to bring me to another topic that we're going to discuss today. So stay tuned. All right, so I've got my load strapped down, big old load of lumber. And I am lighting up this beautiful cigar. Gosh, I love this cigar. So on the first draw, this is the first draw. This isn't a quarter of the way in. This isn't 2 minutes in. The first draw, you get, boom, spice, sweetness. It's all right there in your face. A little bit of that nutmeg, that cinnamon coming through. Oh my gosh, it's nice. The retrohale also plays into some of that spice and woodsiness. I would almost say that there's, when we were talking about the woodsiness, that there's a mossiness about that. Kind of a, like, that kind of damp, wet, but sweet smell that you get off of like fresh grass and fresh moss. Really going with the moss. And it's really nice. It just helps kind of moderate the spice a little bit. Bumpy road, sorry. A lot of the flavors coming through in the retrohale. That's where I get the biggest punch of it. You get the nice sweetness on the draw. You get a lot of that Mediterranean spice through the retrohale for sure. And then the woodsiness is kind of going over to the roof rub. That's where I'm getting more of that flavor, that earthiness. And again, I'm going to say maple tree. Now, it's not that I get molasses. I don't get molasses from it, but I get a maple tree. I it produces just a burnt ash flavor, and it's awful. It makes the cigar damn near unsmokable, at least in my opinion. Now, my husband can pick one up that has rested and marinated for days, and he'll pick it up, still smoke it down. I will not do that. I have to have the flavors that were meant to be in the cigar. Plus, I just don't get any enjoyment. So, you can think next time you're smoking one and you got to put it down, what do you want to do? Do you want to let it rest? Doesn't matter how long it is. Maybe, like this one, I just got started with it. Maybe you feel like it won't interrupt the flavors as much. Maybe. For me, if I'm able to, I like to allow one also to kind of die down slowly. Like I smoke it down slowly. What I mean by that is I take a draw on it a little less frequently. So what that does for me that I find is it kind of brings down the flavors slowly, and then if it's still half of a cigar and I know I'm going to smoke it later, then I will still find that heat balloon, heat pocket, and I will cut just past it. When I make a cut in the cigar, I don't want to see any black ash. It should look absolutely new and pristine. You will still, when you go to relight it, you will still have some of that smokiness left over. You won't have the original flavors, but it shouldn't taste burnt and unsmokable. That's the big question each person has to ask themselves. Sometimes, too, it might depend on the type of cigar, the brand. You might find that a Connecticut gets awful because it's such a light flavored cigar. That smoke, that old stale smoke and burnt ash is going to really overpower it. You might find a Maduro or an Oscuro, though, that has a really bold flavor that maybe is not bothered as much. So let me know in the comments down below, what do you like to do? Are you a cutter, or do you let it rest? Does it depend on the length left? Does it depend on the type? Let me know. Also, I do have to apologize because, I have not been able to get videos out as consistently as I would like. Work has been hell. And the house, man, you guys, it is going like crazy. We're getting so much done. It's really good. I can't wait to put out the next home build there, but I've not had to light it up, top it off, nothing like that. It's just been, what can I say?